Welcome to another episode of the Spurs Rewind. I'm your host, Joe Garcia, and today I'm going to be joined by my co host. We're going to be joined by the one and only Vicky Vic. Vicky, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, no, I'm doing good. I know you're excited. I have a little box next to me here, and we're going to open this box up in a little bit. We're not going to make you all wait to the very end. We asked, what's inside a Spurs fan box, and the Spurs were gracious enough to send me one. So we're going to open this up pretty quickly here. We're just going to get through two segments and then we'll open up the fan box and we'll all find out what's in it. And we're also going to
So
be joined
excited.
by our other co-host here, Rocky Garza Jr. Rocky, how's it going? How was your weekend?
Going pretty good. I had a pretty solid weekend. Was real productive, but yeah, it's going good. How about you, Joe? How are you?
I saw it was productive. You were rocking some short shorts, like retro 80s look, man.
Yeah, I got some on right now. So,
Oh, don't stand up, por favor, please. You're going to scare Vicky, man.
Oh my gosh. Oh my.
You'll see Rocky one time and you'll see what we're talking about when we're talking about the short shorts. Well, we all had predictions. We're going to go ahead and get into the first segment here. We all had predictions of the Spurs Rodeo Road trip. And I had said the Spurs were going to go 2-6. It was a daunting task. I think Rocky, you said 5-3, right?
Yeah.
yeah, I think I said 5-3. I mean, I'm trying to go back because I don't know if I was positive about the Rodeo Road trip or not. I
You
feel
might have
like,
said 3-5. I don't know.
yeah, I think
I
it was
think it was.
3-5. It might have been three and
Oh,
five,
sorry.
Vicky.
Yeah, we both said 3-5. Yeah, sorry. We
Yeah.
said 3 wins, 5 losses. Yeah,
Hey,
And
we're close.
that was
We're
right.
Vicky wanted to
close.
change her answer. She's like, I said four
No,
and four now. I'm like,
no.
no.
Like 2 weeks ago in our the last time I was on, I was like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna be wrong. I think they could win. They could go 500.
We got to go
I
back
did.
and look
I
at
mean,
this tape,
check the
Rocky.
receipts.
We're going to check receipts here. I'm going to
Yeah,
go back and
so
look.
but my prediction was, yeah, I said they were gonna win 3, lose 5. So I was off too.
Yeah, and we were all off. I mean, heck, it's okay because they went
Yeah.
4-4. I'll take that all day.
Hmm.
4-4 on a game, road trip, the rodeo road trip. And this team wasn't exactly looking like world beaters, but they were able to find ways to win. And I gotta say, one of the players that kind of stood out at me, kind of jumped off the page when I look at the stat sheet was one Lonnie Walker, which we're going to kind of talk about as we get later on here in the Spurs rewind. But 4-4, not bad. We'll go over the record that they had here. I mean, they started off against the Cleveland Cavaliers to start the rodeo road trip, and they lost 105-92. Then they were up against the Hawks, and they beat them 136-121. New Orleans Pelicans kind of gave them a little run for their money. Game was a little bit closer, but in the end, they won 124-114. And the Bulls, no question. That one was a butt whooping. That was DeMar DeRozan putting it on the Spurs, 120-109. Oklahoma City Thunder, I thought that was a scary game for me. I didn't think the Spurs would win, but they did. 114-106. The Wizards, that was a thriller. That was the overtime win that the Spurs got. They could have easily lost that game. They made some dumb decisions down in crunch time, especially DeJounte. He almost gave that game away. 157-153 Spurs win in overtime. The Heat, they almost had that one. 133-129. And then the Memphis Grizzlies, forget it. That was a butt whooping. That's where John Morant hung a 50 piece on him. 118-105 was the final score, and it wasn't even that close. It was a dominant performance, but not bad. All in all, not bad. I was expecting worse, but they're still in, the Western Conference, I believe. Right now, they're the 12th seed, and we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. But overall, what would you grade the Spurs rodeo road trip versus last season, Vicky?
Versus last season, so then kind of like on a curve, like a B plus. They did really well compared to what I thought they were going to do. And I mean, even 2 seasons ago, when, before COVID and with all of the players still, together and all that stuff, I think they went 2-6. So this is an improvement from even the last 2 seasons. So yeah, I guess I'd give them like a B plus. There's still areas they could have done better, but overall I'm impressed.
Yeah, I was impressed too. What about you, Rocky? What would you grade the Spurs rodeo road trip?
I'll say a C. I mean, it was originally when I predicted I said 3 and 5, so it would have been like probably like a D or an F. They went even, and they're still in contention for that play-in spot, and it's kind of looking like they're going to be getting
Mm,
close to it, the 10
I
spot.
don't, I think you're getting ahead of yourself there. It's better
Oh
slow
yeah.
your roll there, Rocky. Slow your
I'm with
roll.
you, Rocky. I'm with you.
Oh, Chris Agarro, he's watching from YouTube right now. He says, even road trip. Yeah, even road trip. I'd probably give him a solid C, as far as what they were able to do. I expected them to really uh, put in an F effort, and really win 2 games, but exceeding expectations going 4-4, I'll take it.
That's
And
nice. That's good.
yeah, it was nice. And DeJounte Murray, we just got word earlier today that he got fined $20,000 for that technical foul that was called on him during the Memphis Grizzlies game. And he was frustrated, let's be honest, and he kind of threw the ball, but I don't think he intentionally meant to throw it at the ref to harm him. He was kind of throwing it in his direction on the floor. When they fined him 20 grand for that, to me it was a bit excessive. I mean, was it really necessary to fine him that much? It's not like he cursed the ref out and was in his face and like throwing a fit and causing a scene. I just think that 20,000 was a little excessive for nothing. What are your thoughts, Vicky?
I think 20,000 is definitely excessive, but I always think that when they, I guess that's kind of like the base like fine that they give when they eject a player. It seems like I think the ejection as much as I was upset that he got like his first ejection of all time, um I think it was necessary because even though he didn't intentionally throw the ball and I mean, he did intentionally throw it, but he didn't like try to hurt anyone with it. It wasn't so aggressive. I think he's got to control that. He's going to have games where his opponent is going to be, like ringing him basically. And that's just, I mean, he has to be able to deal with that with class and with patience. That's something that I think is like a Spurs thing. Like that's the Spurs way. I know DeMar constantly would get those kinds of technicals and ejections for throwing the ball and doing, getting overly upset about things. And I was always a little disappointed with that too, because I just feel like, like control it. Like it's a game at the end of the day, and you've got to be able to be the bigger person.
Oh, your
So yeah,
emotions.
I think he deserved a little bit of like a wake up call. Hopefully he takes it to heart and maybe there was like, a little bit of a discussion with him about it because I don't want him to become one of those players that gets known or becomes known for being a hothead.
Yeah.
Usually he's not. So it was a little bit surprising, but the fine, yeah, I think is excessive all the time. I think $20,000 is a ridiculous amount of money to be fining someone for something like that. If he punched a guy, yeah, but I don't know.
He didn't punch nobody. That's the thing. He
Exactly.
didn't punch anybody. He didn't start a fight. He let his emotions get the best of him. And I think it's just showing how frustrated he gets at times because what happens with him is that he wants to win. He wants to win because he goes out there and he competes. The problem is that the rest of the team doesn't always play at that same level that DeJounte's playing at. So he needs a little bit of help, and that's clearly evident.
Mhm.
We've seen this happen throughout the season. And I think as the season's waning on, it's kind of getting on his nerves, like we need and he
Yeah.
needs these guys to perform at a higher level, and he's just got to be patient, but unfortunately he's kind of showing that he gets frustrated because he is human. And Josh Paredes, he says DeMar was fined 2,500 for throwing a ball past an official
Past an official.
and Pop was fined 250 grand for resting
A
guys. I
prop
remember that.
one. That's
Yeah,
ridiculous. I
I
remember
remember
that.
that. He had sent, I think it was Tim Duncan. I forgot who else it was. I want to say it was Manu, home, or it was Tony. One of
Yes,
them.
part of the road trip, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and they saw him I think it was in Atlanta. They were in the Atlanta airport and they saw him there, and they took pictures of him, and they were going on the plane. Yeah.
Oh, that
So they,
sucks.
that's where he got fined. It's like there's nothing wrong with them. They just sent him home because they were old and they needed rest.
Sad,
But
sad, sad.
Rocky, let's go ahead and get your take on this. What do you think about DeMar DeRozan? I mean, DeMar DeRozan, DeJounte Murray, getting fined, 20 grand for throwing the ball.
I'm gonna go be on the other end of the spectrum and say it was kind of obsessive. It was kind of a soft call, and I feel like the refs have gotten real soft these days. I understand it could be considered malicious, but it wasn't really malicious. Like Vicky said, if he's throwing the ball at the actual ref, or like as he mentioned, is trying to fight someone, then yeah, of course you're gonna get a fine. But it's just it is in a heat of a moment, and like you said, he's human. He wants to win. You're just trying to get the guys going, and sometimes you need that. And they could have routed up the guys to get going, but I mean, he's
Yeah.
just a leader. But he does have to control his emotions at times. Sometimes you get real
Mhm.
frustrated in the game and you just let it out. I mean, I get frustrated, and sometimes all of us get frustrated, but it happens. It's hard not to get frustrated when you get 50 points dropped on your head, and so it's like. But I mean, it's not entirely Dejounte's fault. It's the team's fault too. There's this hard game. Memphis is good, and they're only going to get better from
Yeah.
here.
And John Morant's a special player. Unfortunately
Yeah.
for the Spurs, they were witness to that more than once this season. He's gone off on them, and it hasn't just happened once. He's done it more than one time. So, I mean, the thing is like, oh, it's against the Spurs, but the problem is that a lot of other teams have trouble stopping him as well. So it's not just the
Mhm.
Spurs, and a lot of fans have gone and given DeJounte flack for not doing
Yeah.
better, not playing better. And I'm like, it's a team effort. Yes, John Moran is a special player. He has let's say, a better put together team around him than what
Mhm.
DeJounte has right now. He has more experience on his team. In other words, John Morant has veterans that know how to play and know how to win
Right.
that are surrounding him over there with the Memphis Grizzlies team. The Spurs have a lot of youth and athleticism, but they lack experience.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Maybe if DeJounte gets some help, we'll see him put up, maybe 30, 40 points against the Grizzlies. But we got to be patient. So we'll have a wait and see attitude. I know that's in short demand. We don't have a lot of patience as Spurs fans. We're tired of losing.
Exactly.
Okay, so
Exactly.
without further ado, we're going to get into our next segment. I know Vicky has been super excited about this all day.
I am so excited.
She wants to take the box away from me and open it
Yes.
herself.
That's so cool. It's so cool, so cool.
So the Spurs sent me this Spurs fan box. Um, it came in, I think it was late Monday, Tuesday, one of those days. And I haven't opened it because I was busy. I've been busy over here. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and open the box. So I'm going to start cutting it open here. Hopefully, I don't cut myself. And we're going to find out what's inside a Spurs fan box together.
I feel like I'm
This
watching a
is
YouTube video. Like this is
I
the
know.
hey guys, this is my big reveal. What I got. And then
My
Joe's gonna
big
be
The
reveal. This is my big reveal.
unboxing.
Joe's holding his item like this. He's like, hey, this is what I got.
So I'm going to open it up.
That's so cool. Yeah, like
I'm going to open it real slow for Vicky and then close it.
I'm so jealous. Oh my gosh.
So
It's even bubble
there's the
wrap.
inside of the box, still in the bubble wrap. Let's see what's in here. Hopefully, I don't drop it.
I know. Oh my gosh.
I just dropped the box, but not the other box. All right. So here it is, the big unveil. This is the Spurs fan box.
This is so cool.
I like the box, though. I think I'm going to keep the box. I mean, look
I
at it. The box is
know.
pretty dope.
I would keep it. Yeah.
Let's see what it has on the side. Oh, look, it has a check line.
It's like the shorts.
Yeah,
Josh,
there you
it's a
go.
box of coal for predicting 2 and 6.
It's a box of coal. Josh with the jokes.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so let's see what's inside the box.
Um,
And there's the diamond there.
no way.
So it has this
Oh, that's so cool.
card in it. And it says congratulations on a collage of memories. And then it has the, I don't know if that's not a real signature, but it's like a thank you card
Our
for the
CPU
Spurs.
viewer.
Yeah. So let's see what else we
Oh, I see what you got.
have. So they asked us what we wanted as far as the number, and you could get it customized as far as the jersey. So me being the old school guy that I am,
Oh,
went
that's
ahead
so
and picked the Iceman.
Aw,
So I picked George Gervin.
so cool. Oh man.
So that one's getting framed. I know that. So maybe
Yeah.
maybe we can get Derek to have George sign it, Rocky.
Yeah, you got to tell him. I bet you Derek would be so excited when he sees it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I got a hat too. Since I went ahead and said, "Hey, I wanted the Derek Gervin, the George Gervin, uh, name on a number and name on the jersey." They also gave me the hat,
Nice. That's so cool.
the Mitchell and Ness hat, flat bill. Add it to
Oh.
the collection. Add it to the collection. So let's see what else is in the box. We got a jersey. We got a hat. Oh, look, this is pretty cool. They sent us a. It looks like it's like a little frame that has your Twitter handle on it. So it's like a picture frame.
Oh, that's so cool.
So that's
What?
what it is. Just a picture frame. Get to hang it.
Aw.
So let's see what else is in here. I think that was it, Vicky.
That's
Vicky's gonna
enough. That's it.
open. No, it's a keychain. There's a keychain in here.
Oh my gosh. It's like a Easter basket. Like
If you
that's
want
so
fan-
cool. I know.
All right,
Oh
so
my
there's
gosh. I never posted them. I'm like so jelly. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. That's awesome. That's a really cool keychain.
Yeah. So thank you to the Spurs, for the Spurs fan box. I feel honored that I was included with the other Spurs fans. So I always wanted one,
Yeah.
It's like, how do you get one? I don't know. They just, I guess, pick people at random.
Pick
So
people
Hmm.
like
yeah.
an
So
elite group of
I don't know if it's
selection.
I think it's just maybe they saw a tweet or something you put
Random.
out and they liked it and they're like, oh, I like this person. Let me go ahead and give them a fan box.
That's so
Joe,
cool.
Joe's a celebrity. That's why.
I
No,
know.
I
I
only
know.
go
I
that
want to
far.
find where they sell that keychain too, Michael.
Yeah, we'll find out. I'm sure they sell it at the Spurs fan shop. But either way, I'm excited that I got the Spurs
Yes.
fan box and I was able to share, the unboxing with people that are watching here on Spurs Rewind. I'll put some
Yes.
pictures up and stuff on social media right after we get done with the show. But
That's
there
so
you go,
cool.
Vicky. And I know look at
Yay,
Vicky like,
thank
I want
you.
it.
I'm here thinking like strategically, how do I
How do I get
get
one?
myself in front of them?
Look at Josh says, I believe that keychain is at the shops at La Quintana, and I think so
Oh,
too.
okay.
Yeah. So we'll all
Nice.
have to have a field trip over there to find out,
Yeah.
what type of goodies they got out there for us. But either
Oh,
way, really
yes.
excited, that I got the fan box. Thank you so much to the Spurs.
That's so cool.
The jersey's dope. I really like it.
It's awesome.
I don't even want to wear it. I'm afraid
You
to
have
wear it.
one already? A Fiesta?
No, but this is white. I don't want to get it dirty.
I know. I get so nervous with the white jerseys all the
Yeah.
time, but they're the prettiest. They're
Yeah, then
so
if I get
pretty.
it signed, we can get it signed by
Yes.
George. I'm definitely not wearing that thing. I'm gonna frame
True,
it.
true. No, then you frame it, put it in a shadow box and like
Yep. The OG,
hide it from the sun.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there you go. There's our unveiling. But we're gonna go
Yay.
ahead and start getting back to Spurs talk now. So the Spurs announced today that they recalled Josh Primo from the G League. So I'm gonna ask you guys a question. Should Primo just stay with the team and not return to the G League? I mean, I think personally, that getting some, real world experience in, the context of playing in an NBA game against some, elite talent might be good for the young man. You know that he spent most of the season with the G League. I get that. But also, as we're starting to come down to the last 20 games of the season here, I think he could benefit from gaining experience before the season ends, regardless of what happens, by staying with the team. That's just my opinion. So we'll start with you, Rocky. What do you think? Do you think that they should just go ahead and keep Primo on the team and not send him back to the G League?
I think yes and no. I mean, he's going to get more minutes in Austin. Just looking at the box score from this Memphis game, he only got 9 minutes, and that was the lowest among guards. Trey had about 13, 14 minutes, and Lonnie, who's been doing pretty good, had 25 minutes. So if you bring him to stay here, he's most likely going to get those, the spot minutes to see what he can do. So I mean, yes, he can gain those valuable minutes, but I feel like the Spurs are on a run right now, are trying to make the playoffs, and he could be a contributor. But you've been seeing Lonnie get the upstick in minutes. So whose minutes is he going to cut into? If Lonnie's playing has a
Yeah.
hot hand, so why are you going to take out Lonnie? Josh,
I don't know.
let Josh go in the G League. But I mean, I am a Primo stan, and I would love to see him play because personally, I don't think the Spurs are going to bring back Lonnie, so that should open up minutes for Primo next
What
season.
if
But
Pop decides to rest somebody?
I mean, I don't know if they have any chance to rest now if they're going to play for that play-in.
We're
Yeah.
going to talk about that.
They're all young, man.
About that. So you're saying no, you would rather him go back to the G League?
I mean, he's going to get more minutes there, and then he still gets that experience. I think if the Spurs are out of the running, then yeah, I give him those minutes and let him get coached up. Because I mean, if you see the Spurs aren't going to make the play, you might see DeJounte get shut down. I mean, that would probably be a wise move from Pop. You don't want to see your star player get injured.
Gotcha. And what about you, Vicky? What are your thoughts? You think Primo should stay with the Spurs? That way you can go ahead and say Primo for Threemo and not go back to the G
Promo,
League?
Primo promo.
Promo, right.
Um, I think that it's wise, exactly what Rocky's saying, to have him go back because of how Lonnie's playing. And I also think that that's kind of just what's going to happen. I think he's going to be kind of pulled in and then sent back and just sort of a cycle through the end of this season. Um, but it does raise a lot of questions. I don't know about Lonnie's future with the team now. I know that's one of the topics we're going to get to. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of like question marks for the Spurs right now. Um, and I want to see Primo more playing on, the main squad. But I think he's going to be back and forth for a while longer.
Yeah. You know where I stand. I just think Coach Pop should just keep him. If he decides to rest some players on certain nights, throw the kid
Yeah.
in, see what he can give you. If he's having a great night, so be it. Leave him in there a little longer. And if he's not, that's good too. He needs to get that
Yeah. Some
experience
experience.
and show what he needs to do in the offseason to elevate his game and be up there with with this NBA talent that's out there on the court and getting heavy minutes. If you want minutes, you got to work for them. But
Yeah.
I think Primo has all the tools that he needs. He's young, athletic, has a good attitude, even when Coach Pop lays in him. Because I've seen Coach Pop get mad at him a couple times here
Yeah.
already, and he just takes it in stride. Because I mean, you got to be able to withstand the barrage of Coach Pop in order to get better. He does want him to get better, and he probably gets upset because he still makes bad decisions on the court. But it's his inexperience, so he's got to get on him and hold him accountable, and that's the only way he'll get better. But I like what I see out of the kid. Excited to see what his future brings. And I would be excited if he could like really contribute next season. I mean, that would be pretty amazing, that
It
this
would
kid is
be.
so young. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Coach Pop now as we're starting to bring the show to a close here. Coach Pop is only 2 wins away. Vicky, I know, keeps a close eye on that, and so does Rocky. 2 wins away from becoming the NBA's most winningest coach, so he'll make history. Now, the question is 2 wins away, and I'm looking at the schedule as is right now, and the Spurs are going to play tomorrow against the Kings, 7:30. They have the Hornets on Saturday. It's a quick road trip. They play the Hornets on Saturday. Early tip on that one, 6 p.m. They play the Lakers, who have been sliding as of late, on Monday. Then they're going to play the Raptors on Wednesday. And then Friday, they're going to play the Jazz, and they finish their week off against the Pacers. So we have 6 games here. They need 2 wins. Do you think it's possible? And if you think it's possible, what game do you think that they're going to actually put Coach Pop and the record books on? Do you think it's going to be against? It would be fitting to me if it was against the Lakers, but we'll go with you, Vicky. What would you? What would your intuition tell you?
Is it 2 to pass the
2 to
record? 2 to take it, right? So
Mhm.
1 to
tie.
tie?
2 to
Oh,
tie.
2 to tie?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So,
You
well,
would
I
scream.
mean, either way. But I think they have a good chance of winning the next 2 games. Fingers crossed. But I really think they can get a win against the Kings. I think they can also beat the Pelicans. So if they do that, that would be as early as Saturday, um, as like a cushion. And I think it also would be really awesome for it to happen against the Lakers. But if they do it ahead of that, I'm not going to be mad. Obviously, I'll be super happy if they win. Get it to him as quickly as they can. I think the schedule kind of gets a little harder after those two.
Yeah,
I mean those 3 games, yeah, then they've got a little bit of a challenge. But I mean, this team is all over the place. They can win against I mean, they've won against the best teams. But I really do think they could get it by Saturday.
you're thinking by Saturday. Saturday would
Yeah.
be the game they play against the Pacers. Well, this
No,
Saturday
against
would be the Hornets. You're
the
talking about the
Hornets.
Hornets.
Yeah, I
That
think
quick.
they could do it. I think so.
I don't know. I don't know.
I
What does your
mean,
heart tell you, Rocky?
My heart and what I wish is I feel like it's gonna be against the Lakers. At this next game,
Yeah.
they play the Teams. Teams could be a tough matchup. They got Sabonis out there. He's been balling, and I think I think they're close in standings. But it would be really fitting against the Lakers just because all those battles you've seen with Spurs fans and the history
yeah.
that's there, and just the aura that LeBron's there. And LeBron really respects Coach Pop, and he's gonna put on a show either way. It would feel so fitting just to see the Spurs do it to the Lakers again, and it wouldn't in future or not in future. It would just energize Spurs fans just to know like we did it against the Lakers.
Yeah,
I
that's true.
personally want the Spurs to beat the Lakers and actually put Coach Pop in the history books against the Lakers for one reason in particular. When I went to go see the Lakers play the Spurs here earlier in the season, the whole arena, the AT&T Center, should I say, was filled with nothing but Lakers fans.
Hmm.
I took a
Ugh.
video of Russell Westbrook warming up, and he just kept bricking every shot, and I'm like, man, it doesn't look too, he doesn't look too good. I even put that on Twitter. It's like, man, he's not looking too good in pregame. So then afterwards,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, blah blah blah, we beat you, and they came for me. And I was like, okay, you don't want to be obnoxious now. Look happening. Look what's happening to your team. You know. So if the Spurs beat the Lakers, I'm going to make sure I go back because I kept receipts, and I'm going to make sure I go ahead and tweet at all those Laker fans that had something to tell me the last time. So I'm going to be
That would
petty
be
like Josh Paredes.
Joe Garcia, the Petty King, man.
Yeah, I'm
I
petty.
know.
I learned it from you.
No, that's great. I mean, I think you should do that. I do think they could get it in 2 games.
Yeah, and if
But
I'm
I
not
still want them to beat the Lakers.
yeah, and if I'm not wrong, Joe, the Spurs beat the Lakers in the last game of the Staples Center too. So it'd be double
Yes.
whammy on Lakers
Wait.
fans.
Yeah. Well,
I think
Rudy,
so.
unfortunately, we already had the unveiling. We did it like on our third segment here. So you got to go back and watch it.
Show him the
Oh.
jersey at least. He'll be happy to see that.
Yeah.
All right. Just for you, Rudy. There you go. Iceman.
Yes, sir.
There you go. And then the hat. I'll show Rudy the hat. I was proud of the hat. I
Yes.
like the hat.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because they were giving a lot of fans like the 210 flat bill um, hat, 210, and it had like the city outline, I guess the skyline in the 210. And I like that hat. That was a nice hat. So this hat, though, I like it more because it has the retro logo. So I think they gave me that hat. And I saw another person, I saw a couple other people. One of them, another fan that got it had Tim Duncan. So because he had a Tim
Ooh.
Duncan jersey, a custom jersey, they sent him that hat as well. So I guess if you
That's
kind of
fair.
put one of the older players, you got a retro style hat, you know?
That's cool.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on here. I think the Spurs, like I said, are going to get it against the Lakers, but that's just me. But we're going to talk about one Lonnie Walker. And Lonnie Walker, he's been tearing it up as of late. I don't know. Maybe he listens to the show. Maybe he doesn't. But a lot of other people in the media here in San Antonio, we're not media, but I'm saying the other people in the media out there in San Antonio on sports talk radio, and they also in the media when you're talking about the four-letter networks and the other sports talk shows that you see on TV have been really harsh on Lonnie. And for good reason. He's not consistent. And that's the problem that I think a lot of Spurs fans have had with Lonnie. So much so that a lot of fans, including myself, said, and maybe the Spurs need to part ways with them because I don't think he's a good fit with the current Spurs timeline. I think that they kind of saw what Lonnie is and it's time for them to move on. But look at what he's doing. He's making a strong case for himself to get re signed, or for them to extend him. Over the course of the last, I guess, we can go back as far as the 6 games, especially against the Pelicans. You look to see what Lonnie did, and I mean, he was putting up some points. He put up 17 points, against the New Orleans Pelicans, and that's when the Spurs were on that rodeo road trip. And then, okay, I'm looking. It's like let's go ahead and look at some of the other games that he played in as well. Besides just that, New Orleans Pelicans game. The next game was against the Chicago Bulls, and look at what Lonnie put up. He had 21 points. Then against OKC, he had 23 points. And then against the Washington Wizards, he put up 23 points, So all in all, I mean, it wasn't a bad outing by one Lonnie Walker. And if I go and say, okay, let me take that even further. Let's see what he did against Miami. 22 points. Last game of the Rodeo Road trip against the Memphis Grizzlies, Lonnie Walker put up again 22 points.
Yeah.
So the kid has been, making a strong case for himself over the last couple games here. Uh, to me, I don't know. The verdict could be out, but to me, I really think that he's just not going to be consistent. I mean, he was doing this on the road. Let's see him do this here at home for a couple games. They're going to be here for a stretch after they come back from playing against the what is it, the Hornets. They'll be here and they're going to be at home playing for an extended period of time. Let's see if he can go ahead and keep up, keep putting those numbers up here in front of the home crowd. So that's just my thing, but I'm going to ask you guys a question. Has Lonnie finally turned the corner? And is it too little too late? We'll start with you, Vicky.
I don't think it's too little too late yet. I think if he were to finish this season off in this form and doing what he's doing, I think like the last 6 games, I don't know the exact number, but he's averaging like around 20 points a game. Like it's, I mean, I think when I'm looking at his stats, it's impressive. And I mean, I know that just watching, he's been impressive and it's been consistent for the last, yeah, like most of the rodeo road trip, which is weird because they were on the road. But yeah, I think if he continues at that level, um, then I think he's sort of made a case for himself. And I think he knows that whether it's staying with the Spurs or, going elsewhere, he needs to show what he's capable of. It's a little upsetting because it's like, why hasn't he been playing like this? But then at the same time, this change happened with the trades. He's being utilized, I think, a little bit differently. So I don't think the Spurs have given up on him yet. I think if he goes back to being inconsistent and, you see a game from him that's like 4 points here in like 20
Or
minutes or
0
something like
points
that,
like you did
or
against
0 points, the
against the
Cavs, I
Cavaliers.
think. Yeah, that yeah. If that happens, even just like once, I think it'd be like, okay, what, like why? And then I think that may be the last straw. But right now, I don't know. It's kind of like somebody talked to him and was like, "Do you realize your position right now?" And I think he's trying to rise to that occasion. So I don't know. I mean, I think I think he's improving on a personal level. If this is the longest, I guess, I've ever seen him play like this. I guess anyone has ever seen him play at a high level. So it's interesting. It is weird that it's just all at once in the middle of the season. But if it continues, yeah, good for him. Great, great
Yeah.
work.
What are your thoughts here, Rocky? Is it too little, too late for one Lonnie Walker? You ready to part ways with the kid? Are you willing to give him a shot if he's consistent from here on out?
I mean, to me, it's good that he's been real consistent these last 5 games, but it could be a good and bad thing that spills for the front office. To me, if you asked me today, it was the day of free agency. I think if he plays stellar the rest of the season, it could be one of those free agents that get a bigger contract and pop as like, go do your thing. We appreciate what you did. We've seen a lot of players get that. One of my personal favorites was Boban. Boban was a fan favorite. He got a bigger contract.
Yeah.
Sayonara. There's nothing against the guy that I have, but then again, just like you got to look at it is, has he reached his ceiling in this tenure here? Yeah, he was playing good, but he would have spurts and he would have flashes. But how long are the Spurs going to wait for him to do it? He started showing it when Derek left. Derek is better than him in part of his games, but they're two different players. Plus, we brought up the fact that we want to see Josh Primo more. If Lonnie's gone, does that open up more minutes for Josh Primo, who's, we mentioned that has a lot of potential? And could you find a Lonnie replacement in the draft? I feel like you could this person go a cheaper way because you have so many guards. They're not even playing Josh Richardson right now. They haven't
Yeah.
even seen Romeo Langford take the floor. So how many guards are you going to have on the roster itself?
True, but I don't know. To me, my gut just tells me I think we've kind of seen what Lonnie is capable of here with the San Antonio Spurs, and unfortunately, if you have to give me the option of do I keep him or do you extend him, even if he's consistent from here on out, I'd say he's pretty much shown you what he is, and that means that I would go ahead and part ways with him and just wish him the best and tell him to explore free agency. I would actually open the door and see what Primo can give us. But the thing is if the Spurs go ahead and go that route where they go ahead and release one Lonnie Walker and open the door for Josh Primo to kind of come in and take those minutes, I think that's your, kind of tells you that they've made their decision, that they want to go with Primo and they really believe in him versus Lonnie, you know. So the thing is too that I believe the Spurs were shopping one Lonnie Walker around, during the
Yeah.
trade talk and all that, before the All-Star break. But the problem was they didn't have a lot of interest for Lonnie. So that goes to show you that
Mhm.
a lot of teams aren't willing to give up, anything basically in return for one Lonnie Walker, not even picks at this point. So the verdict's out on the kid. I think if he can make a strong showing for himself, it helps him explore free agency a little bit better. But I think you kind of already know what you got in one Lonnie Walker. And unfortunately, he's a good human, love what he does for the community, but it's time. You got to move on. So
Yeah, and I also want to also add before we switch subjects, you also got to see, can't tell the kid, be like, well, tell him to take a hometown discount. You can't dictate what the market's going to be. Sometimes that guard, in his position is going to get a certain rate, and the Spurs are going to have to
Right.
pay him. Are they going to be willing to pay him, or like it's just like, how do you tell him, hey, can you just take a discount, please? Well, I know Spurs over the years getting discounts, but you can't tell a young guy of how much money he should be making.
exactly, it is what it is. I mean, he can make that decision on his own if he wants to take a discount or not. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think he's put in a lot of work as well. So if a
Yeah.
team wants to offer him a little bit more than what the Spurs can, I mean, you take the money because at the end of the day, it is a business, and sometimes you got to make the best decision for yourself and, for your family. So we'll see what
Exactly.
happens. It's going to be an interesting offseason, to say the least, for one Lonnie Walker and for the San Antonio Spurs in general. Who are they going to go out and get to kind of help DeJounte Murray? We're going to have to see a lot of trade talk, not trade talk, but a lot of rumors are going to probably be swirling when we get to the summertime. So as we come to our last segment here, this is the one that we were waiting for. Currently, the Spurs are the 12th seed in the Western Conference. They're not looking too good. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've already looked here and I'm looking at the seedings. The Spurs are the 12th seed right now. They're 24 and 38. They're a full game behind the Trailblazers at 25 and 36, who sit at 11th. The Pelicans have come on strong and surpassed the San Antonio Spurs, and right now are percentage points above The Trailblazers, with the same exact record, 25-36. Lakers have fallen down now to the ninth seed at 27-34. Clippers are now the eighth seed at 33-31. So there you are, from 8 to 12. You have the Clippers, Lakers, Pelicans, Trailblazers, Spurs, and then right below the Spurs are the Kings, who are probably going to be about 1.5, maybe 2 games behind the Spurs. They have a record of 23-40. So if you have to guesstimate at this juncture, 20 games left, Spurs need to kind of, make some ground here. They're going to have to go on a tear, and that's the realistically, that's what you're looking at. They're going to have to win a good amount of their games, maybe so much so as either going and splitting, 500, going 10-10, or try to, go above 500 to give yourself a better option of getting into that playing game. And even then, it's not guaranteed, so at the end of the day, the math right now, I would have to say, is not in the Spurs' favor. It's kind of stacked up against them, regardless of what the record says, because we've seen this team be a lot, be a anything but consistent. They've been a lot of, you know, up and downs through the season, and they haven't been quite consistent. So again, they're teams they're supposed to beat, they lose against. Teams that, oh, they have a big lead up, and going into the third and fourth, they squander it and they wind up losing the game. Me personally, I think the team is going to flirt with maybe coming in with 12, maybe going up to 11, maybe even going as high as 10. But at the end of the day, their inconsistency, I think, is going to hurt them, and they're going to wind up falling out of that playing game. Just being realistic, my opinion. Rocky, what do you think? Do you think the Spurs are going to make the playing game? And I'm going to ask you another question. Do you want them to make the playing game?
I like that question. Yeah, I mean, I know I've advocated for a higher draft pick, and I like the change that they did several years ago, where they're not incentivizing tanking. You want to lose on purpose. That's when you had people tanking. It's like, okay, like, why am I even playing my squad out there? But now, like, everyone has an equal chance. I just think the Spurs have a chance to make that playing game, because I'm looking at CBS Sports and they kind of like give you like a strength of schedule. The Lakers have the hardest remaining schedule, and then the Pelicans are up there too. They're with
Mhm.
they give like a percentage. So the Pelicans with a 0.514 and the Spurs at 0.498. I know the Spurs, are just right there, but I feel like they can flirt with the 10th seed, which wouldn't be bad. It's kind of a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, it's a good thing because if they get that 10th seed, they're going to get that. It's kind of a game seven, in a sense. They're going to play a game on the road, and if they win, they get that experience. The young guys,
Mhm.
say a Josh Primo gets minutes somehow, but or Lonnie wants to make another case, but the DeJounte's going to show them like what it can be in a playoff game, just to get that experience and that feeling of being in the playoff, because none of the team has that besides DeJounte. But if I had to choose, I do want them to make the play in, just so they can get that experience, and they can still get a relatively, top seven, top eight pick. And you never know if they can trade package just to move up if they want to get their player. So it isn't too bad. And I want to see the Spurs win.
So you want to see them win, even though it's going to drop their stock in the NBA draft?
They can trade, Joe. They can trade. They have 3 first round picks for a reason. Do you think next year? Honest opinion. Do you think they're gonna have 3 first round draft picks going to that? 3 players they're gonna draft.
The problem with that is, okay, we're going into this year's draft, and again, this year's draft is kind of weak. If you're not in the top five, what are you going to wind up getting? Best available player? Guess what's going to be the best available player come, I don't know, maybe if they wind up getting into the playing game and they lose, and they're the 10th or 11th, pick. They have the 10th or 11th pick in the draft. A shooting guard. Are you going to be okay with that? Adding another shooting guard? And more than likely, this shooting guard isn't going to be an elite shooting guard. So they're probably going to be undersized. And you're going to have to gamble because, oh, this is the best available player versus the need for the team. So that's my issue with the whole thing. If you're going to make the playing game and you lose, that's all she wrote. Your NBA draft hopes of getting a franchise changing player have gone out the window. So it's a double edged sword. Yes, as a fan, you want him to make it, but at the same time, you're looking for the team's future. And if you're going to go for the future, you got to not make the play in game. But you don't have to do it on purpose. You can keep doing what you're doing, and if fate rolls you a solid, you could, fall out of the playing game. It's not a bad thing. Vicky, what do you say? What is your answer to all this? Do you want them to make the playing game, or you don't want them to make the playing game?
I want them to. I think that it gives them, yeah, good experience, reassures them. I also think that the Spurs themselves and the coaching staff are never going to intentionally tank. So I think they will try. They will try to. If they do, that's kind of, I want them to. I know they're going to try to. I don't know if they're going to make it. I think they have a good chance, and I think that, like Rocky was saying, the difficulty of schedules for the teams that are ahead of the Spurs kind of play in the Spurs' favor, and the Spurs have an opportunity to prove they can do it. Um, by, I mean, they've got 3 games against Portland left in the schedule. They've got 2 against the Pelicans. They have that game against the Lakers. So they've got all of those targets coming up. And if they really want to prove that they should be there instead of those teams, then that's their opportunity to do it. And it also gives them that advantage of, knocking them down and then moving up in the standings. So I think they're going to try. They're definitely going to try. Um, I don't. I have a lot more confidence in them making it after seeing the Rodeo Road trip. I think for a minute there, I was really like, oh, I don't think, they're out of it. I don't think they're going to get back into those top 10 spots. But now I kind of feel like they're turning a corner. They've turned a corner with the trades they made, everything sort of starting to fall into place for them. And I don't think that they're in as bad of a spot as we think. I think they're actually in an okay spot, and they can compete against people, against the great teams out there. So yeah, I think they're gonna try, and I do want them to make it. I know that doesn't
No,
help your scenario, Joe,
the show
but
is over.
Hey Joe, you never know who's going to fall in the draft. There could be someone that fall,
exactly.
the Spurs can go after a Walker Kessler from Auburn. A Terry.
Oh, he's not
T,
going to fall down to 10 or 11.
he's not even mocked in the top 10 right now.
Mm,
Walker Kessler's
mm,
going down.
mm.
One of the,
Keep
the
him
top power
dropped.
four, the top power forwards that are mocked in the top 10 is Paulio Jabari and Keegan Murray. They can
Eh,
always trade if they have a tenth pick and then
But they
another
don't
pick.
trade. That's the problem. They had their chance last year.
Things
They did.
happen,
They
Joe.
didn't do it. They didn't do it. They
I
stand.
mean,
They're
I don't
in the
know,
champion.
but they never did anything at the trade deadline either, and then this year they did. So I feel
Yeah,
like I do think things could happen in the
yeah. They
draft,
could trade
even
the
if they
picks,
don't.
and move up, or they could trade down if they feel that there's still some value there and get, more bang for
Somebody
your buck. But again, that I don't think this draft class is really strong. It's a kind of a weaker draft class unless you have a top 5 pick and you want to go
Mhm.
even higher than that to really get some franchise changing talent on your team. If you get a top 3, I mean, that's a game changer. But again, if the Spurs really feel that they need that top level talent, then they're willing to go ahead and just roll the dice and trade away picks and whatnot to get it, that particular player. I would be okay with it, but again, we'll have to see what happens because it's a long journey. That's all I'm saying. And
Yeah.
right now they have some pieces, like you said, Vicky. They're in an okay spot, meaning that they have some pieces, but they're still missing another starter pair along with DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray needs help out there. And let's face it, Yaka Portal, no matter how good he's playing, he's not going to be that guy, you know? And we look at some of the other players on here, Keldon, he's not going to be that guy, you know? He's a
I don't
good role
know.
player.
I don't know. I mean, I just feel like a year ago, the same could have been said about DeJounte. He just exploded. Do feel like the Spurs are so young that somebody one of these years could just have that season that changes, and then we've got those 2 guys.
The
And
reason I
I
say
don't know
no
if
to
that's
Keldon,
what
though, Keldon doesn't have a good mid-range game. And I
Mhm.
think that is going to be the thing that's going to hurt him more than anything. If he added a mid-range game and it was a really strong mid-range game where you could count on him knocking down these 15, 20 footers, that would change his game completely. And not only that,
Yeah.
but it would help this team as well, because then DeJounte could go ahead and dish out to Keldon and just, I know he's money from 10, 15 feet
Yep.
out. But right now you can't say that. He puts his head
Right
down, has
now.
to be aggressive, going to the rim to get to the stripe.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean,
Mhm.
I think he probably knows that's what he needs to improve. Maybe they'll work on developing that. He's still so young too.
Yeah,
He's so young.
he is,
And I
and
think we forget.
we can't pull the verdict out of him yet, but he does need to learn how to create his own shot and get in the gym with Chip.
Mhm.
But it's just crazy to me, how people expected him to make that big jump from going from the Olympics to that. But it is what it is. And Murray, no one expected Murray to make this all-star jump as
Mm-mm.
he did, kind of like Vicky was saying. But there's still time, and I think if the Spurs can land another piece next to Murray, that could obviously help. But it's just time will tell what they're really gonna do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
another thing that I've noticed with Keldon is Keldon, he's shooting the three at a pretty good clip. But the problem with that is that it's more of a spot up three. He's more of a spot up
Yeah.
shooter. If you have somebody coming out at you and it's getting in your face, he doesn't have a fast trigger. You look
Right.
at somebody like Doug McDermott. Doug McDermott doesn't need a lot of daylight. If you get him the
No.
ball and he's in rhythm, he can go ahead and knock down a three. But again, he's more of a veteran player. He has more experience. I get that. And Keldon is a different type of player. He's more of that spot up shooter. So if he can
Yeah.
go ahead and develop some of these skills, I think he can really help the team out even more. But you have to transition to that. And right now,
Yeah.
I think he's seeing what he needs to work on in the offseason. Hopefully, he can work on that. And I think some of the other players as well, the younger players, are actually seeing what they need to work on. I had high hopes for
Mhm.
Devin Vassell, and he looks good, coming off of that second unit. Now that he's been inserted into, the starting lineup here,
Yeah.
it looks like it's something that he has to get used to, because he has good games, he has bad games. But overall, I like Devin as an overall player. I think he's a really solid, player that
Mhm.
can play on both ends of the court, both on defense and on offense, makes good decisions out there. The only thing is he's just not able to knock down that shot consistently. It looks beautiful when he releases the shot, but it needs to go in. And I think that's going to come with him getting more playing time out there and getting a little bit more comfortable. And you got to look at him too, because he came in from that second unit. And now all of a sudden he's inserted into the starting unit. So it's kind of a transition for him and something he has to get used to. And he might not get used to that this season. He might have to come in next season, play another 10 or 15 games before he's comfortable with that role. So I totally get that. So right now, this team to me is in flux, and they still need some help. I don't want them to make the playing game. I think that's suicide for them. Don't make that playing game, because then you're going to go ahead and wind up drafting again another shooting guard or somebody that you absolutely don't need, because you got best available player and you had word that somebody else was going to pick him if you didn't pick him. So I'm going to get him at this 10th or 11th spot. And that's ridiculous. At that point, it's like you already have a team, a squad full of guards. Why are you going to go get another one? I know it's best available, but come on, trade
Yeah.
the pick or something. Do
Yeah.
something better. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of things that can go on between then and now. I'm going to be honest. Like I said, I wouldn't be happy if the Spurs make the playing game, because I already know what's going to happen. It won't be long now. Yeah, they make the playing game, and then what? They get bounced. It's like, that's what we were playing for, really.
Hey, experience, Joe.
Yeah.
Think softly. Think softly. All right.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and give a quick shout out here to our sponsor, which is DraftKings. And I'm going to go ahead and flash the code. So make sure you go ahead and download the app that is available both for iPhones and for Android phones. And make sure you use the promo code TBPN. So big thank you to DraftKings. And also make sure you go and follow our friends here, both Vicky and Rocky. You can go and follow Vicky on Twitter at the Vicky Vix, as you can see right there. And Rocky, you can follow him on Twitter at RoxJR. So make sure you follow both of them. And Formula One's gonna be kicking up here pretty soon.
Yes.
So there you go. Nice weather. Gonna be going to Austin to go check out some of the races, I'm sure. So if you're a
Yes.
fan of Formula One racing, make sure you hit up Vicky. And if you're a fan of the short shorts and want to know what you should be wearing at the gym, make sure you go and hit up Rocky. He's got
Definitely.
I think he needs to start doing some like reviews and stuff of some of the gear you need to be rocking in the gym.
Dude,
Yeah,
dude, if you want if any guys are hearing this, if you want any cheap short academy, $15.
Oh,
there you go.
nice.
$15.
Yeah, look at Tim M. Mendiola says the Keldon Johnson slander will not be tolerated.
Hey,
I'm not,
we're being
yeah,
realistic, man. I mean,
being
Keldon,
realistic.
he's
I
Keldon's a good
believe in
player.
him.
Keldon's a
Yeah.
really good player, but I
Yeah,
mean,
he's a
our
good player.
expectations were up here after the Olympics. It needs to be right
Yeah,
here just
he's
for
good.
now.
Yeah, I like Keldon. I think he's a good
Yeah.
player. I just want to see him get better.
Yes.
The more that he works on his game, and the better quality of player that he becomes, it's going to help the Spurs get better as a team. And when they starting to flirt with getting into the playoffs, you don't want him to be one and done. You want him to keep on going further and further. So I'm all for Keldon. Just want him to get better. Hopefully he does. So that's about all the time we have for today's episode of the Spurs Rewind. Thank you guys for watching and commenting and interacting with us. We greatly appreciate you guys. So for Rocky Garza Jr. and Vicky Vic, I'm Joe Garcia. Thank you guys for watching. And like I always say, spread the love, stop the hate, be kind. We're out. Peace.